Hey, this is Hans from Request for Music, and this time a video just for the fun of it. I've got set up with my Elektrax and a delay and a couple of LFOs and a stereo mixer, and this delay is actually for our next console, which is lower than this. But first of all, this one, I've got a button controller by P Moon. Out here is a free module that's able to send controls out to any module that needs it, and it has inputs, of course. So what I have here is the Elektrax, and first of all, let's have a look at that. I've got 4 tracks, and all of those tracks have a couple of settings on them. It's a 16-track layer per or 16 steps per layer, so to speak. So if I listen first to the first kick, that's just a kick, and of course I can change stuff to what it sounds like the pitch, and I can change the wave to get sawtooth and stuff like that in. It has a decay, it has a bend to make it more of an electronic drum. Add some noise if I want to. Change the level, change the pan. So that's track 1. Track 2 is the snare. Also same kind of thing. I can change all of stuff in there, like the noise and things like that. But this sounds snappy enough, so I'll leave that as is. Track 3 could be used for instance, sort of a hi-hat. I've done sort of an electronic kind of thing here with pitch bend on it, and I've done the same kind of thing on track channel 4, which is sort of the open hi-hat then, sort of. So together, that comes up to this. And this is, sorry, this is going into my delay, those channels, and that means that if I set the delay to, well, what shall we set it to? First, just dial it up a bit, so as soon as then I get 1 delay, of course. And since it's connected to both of them, I can change the other one as well. And since it has a very low settings, actually, if I go back to the low and I'll dial it back to say 1, for instance, and I'll go back with this one as well and dial it back to 2 or 3 or something like that. I can actually, if I turn my feedback up, it's going to, sort of flangering kind of thing. So that means that if I use my LFO to drive the delay time of this, so if I connect it to this, depending on the level that I have set, because the level of the LFO is pretty hot and it needs very, very little to change this to be sort of a phasing, because if I set it normally, it's going to have that kind of effect, because it's going through all of the range of the delay from 1 millisecond up to 5,000 milliseconds, depending on how much or how high the level is. So it's going to be like that if the level is high. So if I instead change the level to a very low value, something like this, it's going to indeed do that for this. And let me take it to this one instead. 3 milliseconds, which is delayed now, which is with the feedback, has that same kind of effect. And let's take the other one, so at least they're set up logically or something like that. Let's take this one into here and do the same kind of thing there with maybe slightly higher value. So got something like 0.1. And zoom in again, because apparently it was zoomed out. And if the values for this go up, you change from one sort of modulation into the next kind. Because now if the seem to have gotten rid of my other modulator, but that's not really that bad. So you can hear you can get lots of stuff done that way, and actually I've got this set up in such a way that it stops and resets all of the modules that I wanted to from the second button, and the first one lets everything play that I want, because I've got this one here. And it's going to stereo mixer 1, and the next layer in here I've got a couple of other modules in here. I've got a sharp modular Encore, which is a sequencer, and I've got a couple of R-wave partial oscillators in here, and the partial oscillators are sort of FM based or pulse modulation based stuff. So that means that if I play this, I've got here 2 oscillators, and each oscillator is going to a filter, and the filters themselves are going to a delay that's on top here. So that's the kind of sound that you get. And actually I've got the partial oscillators, I've got them connected to each other. I've got the output of the first oscillator drive itself by having this, so you can do stuff like that with it, because normally if I take that out, it's just actually a sine wave, but as soon as I start modulating it, you get the same kind of thing that you can get with a DX7. And actually the first one, this one, is driven by the complete sequence from this Encore, while the other one is driven by parts of it. And this one is, it's not at the moment, but it was supposed to sort of cross modulate. So that means that if I take this one out and drive the other one, or drive the other one, it's going to give that kind of effect, as you can hear. And I apparently did it the other way around, actually. So I took the output of this, drove that one with it, and the pitch themselves are coming from this Encore. So that's giving that modulation, that sound. And again, if I look at this first bar here, this first console, these buttons, this is going to stop the Encore, and the Encore has a reset button, and it has the external sync and all that kind of stuff. So that's all connected. So that means that if I reset everything and then start it's going to drive both the Elektrax, and it's going to do that kind of thing, while still the partial oscillator is going to be driven by that as well. So if and maybe have this slightly less modulation on this, so I'll go back to the depth of the depth level again. Get the flangy sound back again, and I could even drive this from the same bit, but with a slightly different modulator. The RFM LFO1 has sine and triangle and square and all that kind of stuff, so I can modulate it a bit differently. And the lowest console that I have here connected is, I can't even show it like now, so sorry when I do a lot, my video card or my trusted old iMac is going to give me some trouble. The last part that I had is a VCO, 2 VCO, and a VCF, and a delay, and in itself that's it's sort of a solo sound that I had. So if I boost this up and something like that. So just to show, this has a normal sort of standard delay, a longer one. Let's switch off all of the modules for the rest that have syncing going on. So this has the long sort of lush delay, and even that I could obviously modulate that if I wanted to. So say that I do this and I get this kind of effect because the level is pretty deep, and it's going to drive that. Let's put the mix up. So a lot of stuff that you could do with that, and I could even take the sawtooth out of the other one. Go the other way around. But again, the level of depth from any modulating source decides how far it's going to go through that delay time. So let's take this back to a lower value again, something like 0.1 or something. And maybe even lower. So let's go. And the speed or the amount of milliseconds decides the range, because this is the middle part. So and of course the depth of this, or the mix level, will decide how that sounds. And actually this one, the Encore, which was starting those, was going through a different kind of delay here. So I've got here a mix which is on 1/8 and 1/16 because this was synced and this was also synced. So then I can do stuff like getting this out of range by just changing this and decide how that will sound. Well, that connected or combined again with the rest. So a lot of room for experimentation, especially when you combine a couple of those modules, and something like this as well with the partial oscillator, which is a really nice oscillator for that kind of phase modulation stuff. There's a lot of adjustments that you can do, and look at it. It's even a free module as far as I know. So and apart from that, hardware is making a lot of other interesting stuff. So have a look at it and take a look at delay and test it out if you can. And who knows, maybe maybe you like it enough to buy it, and otherwise just have fun trying the demo. And hope to see you later. Cheers. Bye bye.